Imagine smashing through a German-controlled prison wall, blinded guards screaming behind you, while the Gestapo's searchlights sweep the yard. That's not a movie. It's the true story of André Devigny, the resistance hero who pulled off the Montluc escape that stunned Nazi-occupied France. 1943. Nazi boots stormed the streets of Lyon, France. Inside the dreaded Montluc Prison, known for its brutal conditions and inescapable reputation, one man refuses to accept his fate. André Devigny, a French resistance officer, caught and tortured, faces certain death. Devigny's only options? Await execution or attempt the impossible. Escape from a fortress designed for no exits. Montluc wasn't just a prison. It was a fear factory, run by France's pro-Nazi Vichy regime and crawling with Gestapo agents. Barbed wire, double-thick masonry, relentless cell checks, and armed guards meant no one, not one soul, had ever broken out. Outside its walls, freedom was just a rumor. Inside, hope was a crime. But why risk everything? For Devigny, escape wasn't about saving his own skin. It was about defying fascist tyranny. Every day he heard gunshots from the courtyard as fellow resistance fighters were executed. Time was running out. If he didn't act, he'd join them. The stakes weren't just personal. Devigny knew a successful breakout would strike at Nazi morale and inspire the whole underground movement. Prisoners whispered that Montluc was escape-proof. Guards were fanatical. Each prisoner was strip-searched, starved, and locked into suffocating solitary cells. But Devigny was already stretching the rules, smuggling handwritten notes out with tiny scraps of paper and bits of wire, gathering intel, and testing the limits of the guards. The seeds of a plan took root. How do you escape a fortress when every brick is a watchful eye? How do you outsmart guards trained to expect the unexpected? Devigny knew. The smallest crack could be the start of a tunnel to freedom. But first, he'd need an opportunity, and a weapon. Devigny wasn't just fighting for himself. Every coded whisper, every desperate hope for rescue, he carried the weight of every family with a loved one behind Montluc's walls. His fear is our fear. His courage? That's what legends are made of. Devigny noticed irregularities, a guard whose patrols were slightly predictable, a brick in the wall that sounded hollow, a moment each night when cell checks grew lazy. Using a spoon and a piece of wire, he began scraping away at the mortar, time to the clatter of boots and distant gunfire. Every sound could spell discovery, but Devigny's nerves were steel. He needed more than a hole. He needed a distraction. Over weeks, he crafted a brutal tool, a sharpened brick, wrapped to fit his hand. When the right guard, one especially cruel, approached during a vulnerable moment, Devigny struck, blinding the Vichy collaborator. In those seconds of chaos, he pushed onward, adrenaline erasing pain and doubt. He smashed through the brickwork, fighting through fresh wounds and the siren screams that followed. Stumbling into the night, Devigny used the confusion, guards blinded and panicking, to slip through a service corridor. He passed right under the Gestapo's noses, timing each step to the shadows. But the yard was only step one. Beyond it, Montluc was surrounded by Nazi checkpoints. Armed patrols roamed the streets, and spotlights crisscrossed the perimeter. Devigny pressed himself against damp walls, praying the blackouts would hide his escape. One wrong move, one slip on the wet cobblestones, and he'd be shot. There was no smooth route into freedom. Devigny ducked behind trash carts, climbed fences, and crawled through bitter mud, sometimes pausing as searching dogs barked mere meters away. He could smell cigarette smoke on the guards trailing him, but every setback was another test of willpower, and his will was unbreakable. By dawn, he reached a safe house, battered but alive. French resistance contacts hustled him into hiding. While Nazi authorities launched furious manhunts across Lyon, Devigny melted into the shadows, outwitting every dragnet the Gestapo threw his way. The man they called already dead had beaten the system. Fact check. Some tales say Devigny had outside help inside the prison walls, but the official records, corroborated by his own memoirs, show the critical moments came down to solo ingenuity, seizing chaos, and a brick turned into a desperate weapon. The resistance helped after, not during, the breakout itself. Montluc fell silent for days after, shaking from its first-ever escape. Guards doubled, security tripled, but nothing could erase the message. Montluc was not invulnerable. The Gestapo's legend of terror had a crack, and hope was contagious. Devigny didn't just survive, he thrived. He returned to resistance operations, helping smuggle fighters and orchestrate more escapes. His story spread like wildfire, boosting morale for the secret army fighting from the shadows. While many of Montluc's prisoners perished, Devigny proved that tyranny could be challenged brick by brick, night by night. His legacy lives on as a symbol of resistance logic, bravery, and the wildest sort of hope. But here's something nobody talks about. After Montluc's wall was patched, guards started searching their own ranks for traitors. Terrified Devigny couldn't have acted alone. It sparked a witch hunt that led to betrayals, accusations, even executions, because one man showed escape was possible. If you found yourself in a prison like Montluc, would you attempt an escape against all odds, or wait for rescue? What would your escape tool of choice be? Drop your craziest ideas in the comments. Imagine hearing boots fade away behind you, heart pounding, the world reopening, one breath at a time. Would you risk it all for one shot at freedom? Or was Devigny's escape a once-in-a-lifetime miracle? André Devigny's Montluc escape wasn't just a prison break. It was a war within a war, a defiant message that even the darkest places can't cage hope forever. He refused to accept impossible, and in doing so, changed the game for prisoners and captors alike. An unbreakable prison, a blinded guard, and a single desperate man carving his way to freedom. If that isn't the wildest prison break you've ever heard, just wait until you hear what happened next. Next time, we uncover the only known tunnel escape right under the KGB's nose, a Soviet spy who built his way out using piano wire and a chessboard.